Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. November is the month in which the state marks Municipal Courts Week, and here in Irving, the court wants to draw attention to its efforts to increase traffic safety. Viewers were invited to submit questions via email, Facebook, and Twitter, and we'll be getting those answered throughout the show. Our guests are Presiding Judge Rodney Adams, Senior Assistant City Attorney Candace Chappell, and Court Director Wayne Lambert. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Well, this is going to be a great show. We're going to get a lot answered, so I'm excited to be able to start with you, Judge, and find out when most people think of traffic safety, we think of the police department quite often. So what is the court's role?
Well, first off, thank you, Starlene, for having us on the show today. And I would like to let you know that as far as the Irving Municipal Court is concerned, it's like a lot of courts in the state of Texas. Most people actually relate to municipal court as the traffic court. Right. And in truth, it's traffic plus a few other things as well. You see, the Irving Municipal Court is a court of limited jurisdiction, and that means that we preside over or have jurisdiction over cases that misdemeanor cases that result in a fine only. Now, as far as fines are concerned, there's a range of fines that can range anywhere from $1, that in certain cases involving health and safety, those fines can be as high as $2,000. Generally, when it comes to traffic cases, it's a fine of $1 to $200, and in other cases it can be as high as $500 plus court costs. The role of the Irving Municipal Court with respect to traffic safety is that when there's been a violation of the law, and traffic violations are governed under state statute, when there's been a violation, the court has jurisdiction over hearing whether or not the violations have occurred, and if it is determined by way of a trial that there has been a violation, then there's a fine imposed, ranging from $1, as I mentioned, to the fine range that I mentioned before. And in addition to that, particularly with youthful drivers, we like to take the role of somewhat being educational. In other words, if there's been a violation, we don't think that there's any intent there. State law does not require that it be proven. But we also want to bring to everyone's attention that there are certain responsibilities that go with the privilege of being able to drive. So we try to bring that point home if we can.
Wonderful. And what would you like to add to that, Candace?
Well, in addition to being youthful driver issues, we also have new drivers. We have a lot of people that move to the country or move from out of state into the state of Texas. A lot of what we do is education based, and trying to help them understand these are the rules. These are not the misconceptions, or I thought, or I didn't see, when the rules require certain behavior of drivers. And why do we require that behavior? It's for everyone, not just you, not just me. It is the general public. It's learning how to live and play well together. And that's what we try to do through the court system. And we set it up in such a way that if they have questions, they set it for a pretrial, and they'll meet with a prosecutor at that point. And through that meeting, we will go through the rules that apply and explain it so that it's understandable, instead of, oh, I didn't know, and try to make it a learning experience and a deterrence, not just a punishment. This isn't just about punishment and money. It's about learning to be part of a community and be a useful part.
Nice. And Wayne, what are some of the initiatives the court takes to promote traffic safety?
Well, you know, our job by its very nature promotes traffic safety. I mean, if you're issued a citation and there's no enforcement on the back end, right, there's certainly, you know, there's not a lot of use in even going through that process. So I think we play a very important role in that regard, and have historically played a role in that. A couple of things we've done this past year to kind of expand that role even more is we have a kiosk up on our wall in the lobby. And there's a lot of people that come through our lobby every day, as you might imagine. And so what we've started doing on the kiosk is we actually have videos posted out there on things like the dangers of drinking and driving. And you know, we talk a lot with the kids and so forth about texting and driving. That's really been a big push for us the last year. We promote that through videos. We promote that also through our teen court program. We have pamphlets. We have, you know, some education, as Candace mentioned, that's provided to, particularly to our younger drivers, regarding the dangers of those things. And just to kind of touch on you know, our approach to traffic safety, keep in mind traffic safety is really an holistic approach that the city takes, and it really involves, as you mentioned, the police department, municipal court, but also you have traffic and transportation play a vital role in that. the way the streets are designed, the way a turn is designed. They're all designed for safety when they're created. The city as a whole, I think, has really had a focus on traffic safety for quite some time, and quite frankly, we're proud to be part of that.
Sounds like something to be definitely proud of, and a lot of people are acknowledging you for that too. I know, Judge, you guys recently have been honored for your achievements in this area. Can you tell me a little bit about the Traffic Safety Award?
Yes, it is an award that is given out by the Texas Department of Transportation and the Texas Municipal Education Center. Irving has been competing for that award for 4 or 5 years now, and every year that we've competed, we've won it. Wow. And the basis of that is that it rewards municipalities who have taken initiatives in terms of educating the public about traffic safety, and not necessarily just moving violations, but safety concerns such as how to properly wear a seatbelt, what age child has to be in a safety seat, if someone is a provisional driver, what requirements there are for them to maintain their license when they're provisional. We try to get that word out proactively, and we've been online before, the open line before, to talk about such things as texting while driving, and that's really near and dear to our heart because nationwide, I believe that the public would notice that there's been a campaign to try to discourage texting while driving because the statistics that support discouraging that are compelling. In America, it doesn't matter whether or not you're a juvenile or an adult, that you're 23 times more likely to be involved in a collision if one is texting while driving. And what is not as well known about statistics are that if a person uses a cell phone, even if they're not texting while driving, they're 8 times more likely to be involved in a collision. And when it comes to the Traffic Safety Award, we try to give a general lesson on what's important to be a responsible driver. But again, I bring it back to youthful drivers because they make up 14% of the national population, and yet they're involved in more than 30% of the accidents nationwide. And if you think in terms of as a whole, nationally, in 2009, there were 33,000 fatalities, traffic-related fatalities that occurred. If you would put it into the proper perspective, that would be like taking an airliner with a capacity of about 90 passengers and taking it off and crashing one a day. Wow. So we do everything that we can because let's be real about it, we're all drivers out there and there's no respecter of persons when someone's behind the wheel. They can be 16 or 66 or 96. They're held to the same standard, and therefore we want them to be utterly aware of what their responsibilities are and hopefully promote that safety.
And speaking of promoting that safety, do tell me, Candace, what are some of the safety messages? I know the judge kind of talked on them a little bit, but tell us a little more about the safety messages that you really work to spread.
Well, along with winning the award, that is an all-city project, and it includes the police department, who works with teenagers, who have the drunk driving day to show what happens with a vehicle, what happens when they're arrested, what happens when the teenager who is your classmate ends up in jail or in the morgue. It deals with the safety fairs that we have for teenagers. Also, there are several programs in the city that are teaching young underaged drivers how to manipulate and how to drive and how to focus and how to follow instructions at a very early age, even just above toddler. There are a lot of different programs going on. We go into the schools, we talk to the students, and then everything does culminate with the municipal court, yes. The unfortunate part is someone's going to end up either hurt or being held accountable. Ours is, fortunately, the accountable, and we hope we stop you there at the accountability, because when you come through, whether it be through the high schools that come in and go through the programs and watch, whether it be the young lawyers groups that come in and go through the internship, or whether it be somebody who actually received a citation, you will come through and you will meet one of us at some point or another. And we're not there to just tell you, bad boy, down. We're there to help you understand why you're there and that you will be held accountable. You're not talking your way out of it from an excuse. That's not a reason. An excuse is not a reason. And that's what we try to impart upon the young drivers, that they have to think. And again, it's not just the young. The older ones are texting and driving, talking on the phone, doing shopping lists, talking to the babysitter, talking to the teenagers. They're just as accountable and just as responsible for a lot of the issues we have going on. So we try to reach it in any way we can.
And you guys are doing a great job of that, obviously, having received the award 5 years in a row. Judge, last year you were talking about different dangers of texting and driving too, and what are some of the other common violations that you see?
Well, one that we see quite often is having to do with seatbelt violations. There are members of the community who have the mindset that we know that it's state law, but maybe if I'm just going around the corner, maybe I don't need to wear it. Or maybe if I'm just going to pick up someone from school and it's a little crowded in the car, maybe I can just hold someone in my lap. Or maybe they don't need a safety seat, but it's state law. And again, these laws are supported by scientific research that suggests that if you're properly restrained and you're involved in a collision, you have on an order of magnitude a greater survivability rate and a less likely chance of being injured. So seatbelt violations we promote as best we can, as Ms. Chappell was saying. We go out and try to be proactive, not just with the youth, but also with those that come through the court. But we think that we have a lot of support from the youth because they're the ones who tell their own parents to buckle up, and
That's
we like
right.
that. There are others, that are, for example, we have a lot of high school students in Irving, and when it comes to high schooling, sometimes there are those who get a little bit impatient with waiting for the light and cross at the inappropriate places. Mm-hmm. We try to bring the point across as to how dangerous that really is, particularly in a school zone in a congested, when congestion is at its highest. So we try to bring those points to bear. We talk more about speeding, how the adage is that speed kills, and that's still true. So we try to bring home the point that particularly our newer drivers, that they have passed their written exam, they've passed their driving exam, and they know the rules of the road, but that does not give them the experience that they need to take care of every situation. So you have to slow down so that you can measure your responses to the environment around you. So those are a few. We could go on, but
there's a lot, which is
yes.
good. You have to point it out to people. It makes a difference. It saves lives, and you guys
Yes.
are obviously successful at that. Judge, the court's also been involved in a number of events, and the Transportation Summit was one, and then the recent Driver Safety Fair. Tell us about those.
Well, I'll talk about the Transportation Summit first, and
Okay.
I would say kudos to the City of Irving because the City of Irving has hosted a National Traffic Safety Summit for over a decade now. And during that summit, there are leaders from across the nation who come in whose expertise would be in traffic safety, transportation planning, policy making, construction, engineering, as well as law enforcement and the judiciary. And we were honored at the summit. The Irving Municipal Court was honored, along with the rest of the City of Irving, for the initiatives that we've taken to try to promote traffic safety by some of the efforts that we've just explained a moment ago. So we were extremely honored to do that. And then secondly, the traffic safety event that we had a few weeks ago was one that was aimed particularly at teenagers. There were several hundred that did attend, and during that time, we actually we did that in conjunction with one of the AAA, who's an Irving neighbor, and they brought out all kinds of demonstrations about what the consequences of not being properly secured in a seatbelt would be, and that comes to what it means for have rolling over accidents, and those can be pretty gruesome, simply because if you're not secured and you are involved in a rollover accident, generally what happens is that you're ejected from the vehicle and the vehicle rolls over on you.
Right.
And so they wanted to make sure that the point was brought home that there's a compelling reason why you secure yourself. We also had demonstrations about pedestrian safety, about bicycle safety. And we brought out some statistics, gave out a lot of information about just what the responsibility for being privileged to drive or to be responsible as a student on the street or a bicyclist or anything related to that would be. So that was a great event, and hopefully that is the first of many to come on an annual basis.
Sounds like it's much needed. So, and people are actually taking advantage of it, which is definitely a good thing.
Yes.
Wayne, something else you guys do is train with other courts Tell me about that, how you train with them in the area of traffic safety.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is courts kind of follow a set standard of procedures throughout the state, but everyone operates a little differently. One of the things that we were fortunate to do this year, just about a month and a half ago actually, is we conducted some of the training that's related to state courts right here in Irving at our facility. And as part of that training, we have two judges that are very actively engaged in traffic safety. And Judge Laura Anderson, who's not here today, was one of the judges that actually spoke at that training and talked extensively about traffic safety and really brought a great awareness to other court clerks in the area. Talked about some of the things that Irving's doing and also some of the things that are recommended on a state and national level as far as focusing on traffic safety. Again, I'm going to sing her praises. She did a phenomenal job at that. And frankly, I think it was well received by other clerks. And so it's kind of expanded beyond Irving, hopefully, at this point. And we're able to kind of share that message with other, our counterparts in their area. So it's a really good event.
Wonderful. Judge, another question for you real quick, and that is, are traffic tickets the way most people end up in municipal court?
They account for a high percentage of what comes through municipal court. I'll go on the record and say that yes, they are the largest volume of cases that do come through municipal court. And I'll say this, that although it can be an unpleasant experience to come to municipal court, the point in law enforcement in the first place is to promote safety. And each of us, and myself included, I've had to go to court over cases before, and it's not because, I was an intentional speeder, and we do not take that position as to whether or not anyone intended to violate the law. But when the law has been violated, it's so important to try to make the citizens aware of the violation so that it would not be repeated and to deter it, because to continue down that path could result in serious injury at some point or worse. So when people do come in, we do not look upon it as though, you're a chronic violator or whatnot. We've all done it, and the whole idea is to dispose of that matter in a fair and impartial way, and also to put something on their minds to think about for the future so it doesn't happen again.
And Candace, who else ends up in municipal court?
Well, you get any number of things. We have a lot of other issues that come out, and it includes, and you're talking about traffic safety.
Right.
Red light cameras ultimately can end up in the municipal court system as a trial de novo.
Wow.
But what's the purpose for red light cameras? Oh, it's to make money. No. When you see some of the photos of the intersections where these lights have been installed, and you see cars that ran the light and totally T-boned another car, flipped it, and a child goes flying, then you understand where the basis comes from. It's not erratically placed. They are placed for a reason with much studies put into place. And they're also where other lights have been in place, but officers cannot sit there all the time. So this is just one of many ways to look at going into municipal court, but we also have code enforcement. We have a lot of other penal code violations that come through us. But yes, the majority of it is traffic. And with that, we are high volume. And in many instances, we are the only ones that people ever come into contact with as far as court systems, or we may be the first. But at the same time, even though we're high volume, every person counts, every person will be addressed, and every question will be answered the best we can. We're not there to defend them. We're not there to hammer them. We are there to help them understand there are rules to be followed, and here's the accountability that goes with it. It's all part of growing. Exams to get your license, but daily living is an exam each and every day, and you've got to pass it, and you've got to be accountable for how your day went, and that's part of our process.
Okay, and so Wayne, if you do get a ticket or a citation, what's the best way to handle that?
Well, we offer several ways of handling it. Obviously, you can just simply go out and pay for the citation if you don't want to contest it, and we offer the ability to pay that online. You don't even have to come into the court for that. You can pay by mail. You can pay through a night drop. Some of the more popular options, however, are options that will allow you to keep a citation off your record, particularly with traffic citations. If you're a good driver and you happen to get a speeding ticket, and we have all had speeding tickets at some point in time, you may be qualified to request deferred disposition, which basically allows you to pay an administrative fee and be placed on probation for a period of time. At the end of that probation, your citation will be dismissed. if you don't receive another citation. Defensive driving or driving safety is another option that many people choose. If you're under the age of 25, even if you do deferred disposition and be placed on probation, you still have to take driving safety course. That's a requirement of state law. And that's really, to go back to Judge Adams' point, you know, when someone begins driving, there's a period of time before you're able to acquire the experience that takes you from being, you know, at this level to this level. And so the state legislature recognized that and implemented and imposed that additional requirement to take defensive driving. We have a number of options, including, you know, if you want to pay out your citation, we can allow you to pay that out in installments. We have a very good community service program even. You know, again, the ideal here is to curb the action. It's not about any type of monetary rationale or any type of penalty beyond what the state imposes. We want people to comply with their cases. If you mess up, take care of it. If you're cited and you feel like you didn't, you know, commit the offense, then certainly, obviously, the municipal court is the place where you have your day in court. You can come in, you can write in. There's any number of ways to do this as well. Tell us that you want to plead not guilty, and we will set you for a docket. And we do that very timely, by the way. One of our key performance indicators, we look at how long it takes from the time that you request, you know, to plead not guilty to the time we actually set you for a hearing. We do that very timely. It's very important to us to accomplish that, because again, if you're found not guilty, you know, we're not here to try to run you through the ringers. We want to give you your day in court and do things efficiently.
So you have these options. So I'm curious to know, Judge, then what kind of cases do usually end up in the courtroom?
Well, as you indicated earlier, traffic cases are the lion's share. As Ms. Chappell had mentioned, there are cases involving city ordinance violations. Those would include code violations such as outside storage, grass too high, maybe problems with maintenance of a facility. Then there are others which involve juveniles. As you know, we have a very high student population in Irving, and in certain instances we can receive some cases that are filed through the educational system. Those include disruption of classes. There are fighting cases, fighting in public. Then there are some simple assault cases which do not just involve you know, students, but you know, the general population. And then there are others who, you know, violate state law by way of alcohol-related offenses and whatnot. But whatever the offense, they all result in to be seen in our court. They have to be misdemeanors, and they have to be disposable by way of fine only, if there's a punishment imposed at all. But as Wayne had mentioned and Candace had mentioned as well, we take every case on its individual merits. Everyone who comes to our court, this is probably the only experience the majority of our citizens, not just in Irving, but nationwide, the only experience that they will ever have in the justice system. We want to treat everyone who comes through professionally, with dignity, impartially, and fairly, so that when they've gone through that process, they will know that that's how our system works.
I'm glad you bring that up and point that out, because I know, Wayne, you guys have taken steps to make customer service just even more improved. Tell me about that.
Now, this is only a half an hour show, so let me
You've done a lot.
I will tell you, and this is a 100% credit to our staff. We have a fantastic staff, especially those folks that are answering the phones every day, and the folks that are on the front line helping people. One of the things, many years ago, it was very common to come into the municipal court, I'm going way back, and standing in line for 2 or 3 hours. And you know, there was a lot of burden involved in coming to take care of your case. You know, these days, we have a measure that we look at on a constant basis. We keep that line time under 10 minutes. And the reality is, this past year, we kept it right at 6 minutes or less. Wow. And so it's and that's very important to people. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, it's very important to the court as well, because for 2 reasons. First of all, we recognize that the state legislature sets a penalty range for an offense. And I don't recall reading anywhere in the statute how waiting in line for 3 hours is part of that penalty. So we don't want to impose something that's unnecessary. And that's important for the people coming in. What's also important to the municipal court It's like anything else in life. If you make things as efficient as possible, people are more inclined to take care of it and to handle their items timely. And I really do feel that giving people options to take care of their offenses without even having to come in, and when they do come in, make sure that we get them in and out as quickly as possible, in and out with a great deal of accuracy, and as the judge mentioned, professionalism. I think that makes all the difference in the world. We have extremely high satisfaction ratings with our customers that come through. And quite frankly, it's unheard of at municipal courts that have that type of rating. And again, I know the three people at this table, we'd love to take credit for that, but the reality is it's all about the people that work that front counter and answer the phones. You had to have great people doing a great job in order to get those types of results, and so we're very fortunate in that regard.
And we definitely commend them on that. And Candace, I want to ask the last question to you. What are the biggest misconceptions about municipal court?
It's all about money, and we're just going to railroad you through, and you're just going to push us around, and you're going to hammer me over the head and put it on my record, no matter what. You're not going to believe me, the officer's right, I'm wrong, no matter what. And that is leading misconceptions. First off, I want to start by saying, if you receive a citation, no matter what it is, do not let it fester like a splinter. We do have a collections set up in place, which will increase the fees. Warrant fees will increase it. And you don't have to have gone to trial in order to get warrant fees. If you don't take care of your business, it's going to increase. It's going to fester. An engine without oil will fester. A house with a cratering foundation will fester. So will a citation. Don't ignore it, because it's not going to go away. It will follow you. Not that we're out to find you. It will follow you, because we do warrant roundups. But bringing it back to when you come to Irving, we pride ourselves on loyalty, integrity, and ethics. We always have. We have worked together for many, many years, and this is a cornerstone of what we do in this court. Whether it be at the beginning and you just want to take care of it, or if you want to talk about it, we will talk to you. If you're getting ready for a trial, we're not going to hide anything from you. If you want to go through a pre-trial and find out what your options are, we're going to tell you what options are available by law and why the rules are where they are. If you want to know where it comes from, we will show you. We cannot be your defense attorney, but we want you to make a fully informed decision, because this is yours. It's important to you, just as important as your daily snack food that you just crave. This is important, that you know everything that's available to you. And we want you to be informed. And we're very proud of that. And fortunately, we are looked to by many other cities as a method of getting things done with the people without holding them back or holding them down or putting them off, but addressing them. They address their issues, we address it. We move on.
Explaining those misconceptions and then talking about the customer service and how it's improved even greater than it was really helps us to understand why you keep winning those awards that you told us about, Judge. So thank you all for explaining all of that to us today and answering all those questions we had. We're out of time, but we do appreciate your time and if you coming by and telling us all of that, because it makes perfectly good sense why you keep winning those awards, and I'm sure you'll win another in the future.
Thank you, Starlene.
And thank you for watching. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us for our next edition of Open Line, live at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, December 5th. Our topic is the season of giving. Our guest will represent several charities in Irving that could use your help. If you have questions, please email them to ictn@cityofirving.org or connect with us on Facebook, and we'll get answers on our next edition of Open Line. We'll see you then.